Hi, and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm Kibin Alleyne, and today we'll update you what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, the section head and director of clinical cardiology at Montefiore Health System speaks on their efforts to help prevent heart disease. Then a co-curator and photojournalist speaks on their participation in the upcoming exhibition School Shootings in America at the Bronx Documentary Center. After that, the founder of Shoot Hoops Not Guns Classics speaks on how they are more than just a basketball league. And finally, the Associate VP and the Program Director of BronxWorks talks about some of the services that they offer. So stay tuned. All this and much more is headed your way because we're now officially open. Hello everyone, I'm Kibin Alleyne and today is Tuesday, February 4th. You are now watching Open, a program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. Don't forget to stay connected with us via social media at BronxNet TV. Heart disease is very common in the United States. It is the leading cause of death for men, women, and people of most racial and ethnic groups. In 2022, 1 in every 5 deaths in the United States was caused by heart disease. This disease is preventable, yet more than 800,000 people die of cardiovascular disease every year. Here to share some information on preventable methods is the section head and director of clinical cardiology at Montefiore Health System, Dr. Leandro Slipczuk Bustamante. Doctor, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. A pleasure.
Now, why is heart disease still the leading cause of death in the United States despite being very preventable?
Just like you mentioned before, this is preventable, but we're still not doing a perfect job addressing the root causes. And the risk factors are high blood pressure, diabetes, smoking, not being physically active, some genetic risk factors, unhealthy diets, and obesity. And a lot of people may not know that they have these risk factors. Some of those, like high blood pressure, may not be felt unless you check it. High cholesterol, you may not realize you have high cholesterol until you measure it. So I think we have a lot of people that have these undetected risk factors for many years until they have a heart attack, until they have heart failure. So what we're trying to do is trying to shift it from detecting events to prevention, to detecting if you have what is called subclinical disease. You have some plaque in your arteries that could put you at risk for a heart attack, but we can detect it early, treat it early, which is easier, cheaper, and more effective.
Now, as you mentioned, high blood pressure contributes to heart disease, but I'm curious to know, why is it such a challenge for people to kind of control that aspect of their health?
I think the key for that is that you don't feel it, like I said before. I have a lot of patients that they come to me and I ask them, how's your blood pressure at home? And they may say, I don't feel it, it must be good. And that's a mistake because you may have high blood pressure putting you at risk and not feeling it, so you can just measure it. It's very easy. You can get a blood pressure cuff in the pharmacy. You should tell people to measure it at least 3 times a week, and then they can bring me a log so we see what's happening there. Also, there's a lot of new devices that can measure your blood pressure at home and transmit it to your doctor so we can know how you're doing when you're not at the office.
Now, what are some common misconceptions about heart disease that you'd like to address?
Sure, this is very important. I think one of those is that it affects only men. The other one is affect older people, and that you may feel something before a heart attack happens. So many times by the time you have a heart attack, you didn't have any symptoms before. So we need to detect this in young people that can have also heart attacks, in particular if they have risk factors or genetic conditions like a family history of early heart attacks. We need to also screen women that may present with different symptoms than men. And we need to make sure that we see risk factors and we detect them early before people have a heart attack or a cardiac arrest or other conditions.
And I also want to briefly just mention that you said it's not just older people. What would you say to encourage more younger people to kind of prioritize their health in that manner?
So yeah, the age usually we see a heart attack is 65 in men or 70 in female patients, but it has happened in a lot more recently also in younger individuals. And a big factor in this is obesity, smoking as well. And so we really want to do early detection. So if you're in your late 30s, early 40s, it's a great time to see a preventive cardiologist to see what risk factors you have, how can we address them early on. So even if you have no symptoms, it's a perfect time, I think, to check on your heart and make sure it's healthy.
Now, Montefiore is always doing so many things to kind of help our community stay educated on health. Can you explain what Montefiore is currently doing to raise awareness about heart disease?
Sure. I think something that we're very happy on how it's going, and I try to encourage patients also to see it, is this Monty Heart lecture series we have on YouTube. So we created a free channel that people can watch on YouTube with medical advice, with lectures from experts from all over the world that otherwise you have to pay to go to conferences or see. And many of these can be seen by patients and are at the level that they can understand. So that's freely available for everyone. We're also providing a wellness clinic where people can come and check on not only disease, but also in their wellness, find a healthy diet, find ways to cook healthier, to stay active and exercise, and to change all these risk factors that we were talking about.
Now, what are some simple, actionable steps people can take today to reduce their risk of heart disease?
Sure. So detecting risk factors is what we talked about. I think other than that, we need to move more. We were talking before that we're meant to walk 20, 30,000 steps a day, but the average American walks about 3,000, 4,000, so that's not enough. We have a lot of devices like phones, watches now that can count our steps, and those can keep us accountable. So I think that's a great thing. So we should try to reach about 10,000 steps a day, and we should do also physical activity. We recommend about 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity or 75 to 150 of high intensity physical activity. But the important thing with these guidelines is that they shouldn't discourage people to move. So any physical activity is better than none. So slowly increasing your step count to try to reach that target, and starting more of an exercise program and doing some weight training is also great for your health. And this is very easy to do. Everyone can do it just by going out and walking. The important thing is if you do have heart disease, if you have any condition, you may want to check with your cardiologist to make sure that you're strong enough to start a program like that.
And I also want to add, as for walking, it's something that I've done a lot, and it's free. Like it's free to do. It's something that most people, have the ability to do. So I definitely just appreciate you, kind of highlighting that that's something that is a simple thing that people can do to kind of prioritize their health. Now, I want to talk about diet and how that could impact, heart health. Are there any specific foods that you would recommend incorporating or avoiding?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's very important too. I think so. The key is understanding also your social background. People come; they're not all the same. People come from different cultures where different foods are important for them. But overall, I think we need to stay away from ultra-processed foods. I think ultra-processed foods are now the worst problem we have with diet. And a heart-healthy diet is usually a diet that is more rich in plants, with less meats, and definitely less processed foods. If you decide to have meat, try to have it in moderation and try to have from your plate, smaller portions, and most of your plate should be filled by vegetables. The other thing I think that is important is to try to limit the salt, in particular if you have high blood pressure, and to try to limit alcohol consumption as well. In particular, if you're overweight and you're trying to get healthier and more in shape, you should try to avoid alcohol, because it doesn't really help you to get fit. It can make you more prone to arrhythmias. And if you decide to drink, try to keep it minimal, usually a day a week, and try to decrease it slowly, but it can be done. It's just a change in our habits to reach it.
Now, the next thing I want to talk about is very important to me, and that is sleep. How can sleep impact your heart health, and how much sleep should we be getting to kind of be a little bit more healthier?
Yeah, that's essential, because if we don't sleep well, also we're going to be craving more caloric foods. We're not going to be working out as much. So it will affect our whole other risk factors as well. We usually recommend 7 to 9 hours. That's kind of the average, but it also should be good quality sleep. So if you drink before you go to bed, we know that that will affect the quality of your sleep. We know that if you have conditions like sleep apnea, the rest that you will get will not be restoring, and that will also affect the quality. So if you notice that you're snoring a lot, you notice that you're tired during the morning, and then you should check with a sleep specialist to make sure you don't have sleep apnea. In particular, if you have obesity, these are things that can be addressed, but should be detected as well, like we were talking before, and that will make you sleep better and will decrease your heart risk.
Now, we talked a little bit about what Montefiore is doing for heart health just in general, but for some of the things that we discussed just now regarding, exercise or diet, are there any resources that Montefiore provides to help people kind of prioritize those journeys so that they can have better heart health?
Yes, we have our wellness clinic that is led by Rob Osfeld that focuses, like I was saying, not in disease, but in preventing disease, in improving your wellness. There are resources on our websites, there are resources from the American Heart Association, American College of Cardiology, the American Society of Preventive Cardiology. And I know nowadays people look everything online, right? So it's very important to go to good sources, because if you look online, you can find everything. Some things are things you want to rely on, and some things you don't. So try to go to websites like Montefiore website, try to go to American Heart Association, American College of Cardiology, the American Society of Preventive Cardiology. Those can give you, I think, good tips on how to get healthier.
And I want to touch on smoking. How can smoking and vaping, which I understand is very popular amongst a lot of younger people, affect, heart health? And what resources are available for those who are trying to quit?
Yeah, so when you compare the US with other countries, I think we've done quite a good job also pushing people to stop smoking. There are countries where it's a lot higher, but in particular in areas with, people are more struggling, underrepresented, and there's higher incidence of smoking. And this not only costs a lot of money, but it's slowly harming your health without you realizing about it. So I think that's the biggest step. If you're smoking, the biggest step you can take now to improve your health is to stop smoking. And there's a lot of options we have now. You have patches, you have nicotine, gum, you have even some medications that you can take, and this can be prescribed by your primary care physician. So ask for it, say that that's your intention, but you need a date. That's what I tell patients. If you're going to quit, you need to set up a date and quit, because otherwise we keep postponing it and just never happens.
That's good. And I love that you said that, because I think a lot of it is mental. Like, people will want to change, but to have the determination and the drive, the discipline to change can also be a challenge. So I love that there's, doctors also thinking about that aspect of changing.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of new medications that also can help, to lose weight. And I know these are, people see it on the ads. And these are very important. And I think we think that are changing the way we treat obesity. But they should be done in combination with exercise. Cardiorespiratory fitness, so how fit you are when you exercise, is a significant marker of how long you will live. So this is very important that every aspect of weight loss is combined with exercise.
Well, Doctor, I want to thank you so much for joining us and having this very important discussion that I know people, I think, from all ages can definitely benefit from. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
To learn more about how you can prevent heart disease and the efforts made by the team at Montefiore, please go to their website at montefiorehealthsystem.org. Don't go away. We'll be back with more Open after this.
"19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city, and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak, and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Welcome back. School Shootings in America is an upcoming exhibition created by the BDC, which is meant to highlight the facts around America's firearms and profile some of the thousands of young people and families who have been affected by school shootings since the Columbine massacre in 1999. Joining me virtually is a co-curator, Cynthia Rivera, along with photojournalist Tamir Kalifa. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.
Now, Cynthia, can you start by telling us a little bit more about School Shootings in America, the exhibition, and what inspired the Bronx Documentary Center to create it?
Yeah, so we've been wanting to put together an exhibition about gun violence for some years now to be able to create an open space, a safe space for our community to have conversations about loss and possible actions to move things forward in a more positive way. And we knew gun violence as a whole in American history was such a large topic to cover. So school shootings was sort of a sub-theme of that we chose. And shootings, of course, have been a recurring issue that seemed to be more and more like dumbfounding in the media, and also something that the general public seemed to be more and more numb to. And for us as an organization that want to like bring and amplify these stories and these like certain issues, it felt like really a really important topic for us to cover.
Now, why do you think it's important to use photography and storytelling to highlight the impact of school shootings?
So, because school shootings have unfortunately become such a common thing to hear about in news stories and almost just about every month, we feel like it's been really dwindled down to school names, the names of towns, and the numbers of people that have been affected. And what we feel like we really miss are the families that are affected every time. And that's hundreds of families, which is thousands of people, which becomes another number. But to see it in person in an exhibition, you get to see what those people go through on a daily basis and how they have to deal with their pain when you read their stories. And for us, that brings back the humanity that kind of gets lost in all of the numbers and statistics.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, Tamir, again, thank you for being here. Can you start by telling us how you came to work on this deeply emotional and powerful project?
Yeah, so I was assigned to document the immediate aftermath of the Uvalde shooting in Texas, where 19 children and 2 teachers were killed at their elementary school by an 18-year-old armed with an assault rifle. And what began as a breaking news story quickly evolved into something much deeper as I started getting to know families of the victims and members of the community. I covered gun violence previously and was determined since day one to create work that was sensitive and did not make viewers want to look away. Um, the work that's going to be on the show is uh, 2.5 years worth of time spent in Uvalde. The first year's worth of work was published in the New York Times, but all of this work really charts the wilderness of grief this community has faced to show the impact of gun violence from up close, and how these remarkable families have moved forward, not moved on, while honoring their loved ones.
Now, I want to touch on the fact that, I mentioned that Columbine happened in 1999, and since then there has been over 400 school shootings in our country. Can you just explain, how this exhibition can kind of encapsulate, that that's been going on in our country, especially when we see numbers as high as that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of information to contextualize and to put into one space. So I think technically speaking, we will have like a timeline that wraps around the entire room that goes through every single year and every shooting that's considered a school shooting, a mass shooting, just go throughout the entire room. And we also have a couple of different infographics that we've made to try and make some of the statistics that stood out to us the most a little bit easier to like understand and digest.
Now, I also want to touch on the fact that, the Washington Post created a report where they found that most of the people responsible for these shootings are also children or, very young people themselves. How does the exhibition address the role of gun access in these tragedies?
I think we address the issue by pointing directly to organizations that have like actions and steps to move forward, like Everytown. They've actually been a huge help on this exhibition, and we point to action steps that people can take in order to move in a direction that makes gun access more difficult and gun safety laws more common and possible.
Now, Tamir, your photos capture the raw emotion and humanity of these families. How do you approach documenting grief while respecting the subject's vulnerability? And I think this is so important, just as myself as a reporter and somebody who works in media, kind of understanding and learning how to deal with these really tough topics when we're dealing with the lives of real people is so important. So, can you explain how you approach something like that?
Well, I feel that part of taking the issue of gun violence or any major global issue seriously is by visualizing with care, compassion, and patience. Um, the reality is that grieving patterns don't align with deadline cycles, and so we have to be very mindful that the work that we do has a direct impact on the people that we are documenting. And so, you know, with my work, I've tried to um, be very intentional with how I approach documenting grief and documenting trauma, and I never want to compound the distress um, that someone is feeling. And so, um, I've been fortunate to work with newsrooms that are willing to be patient and allow for the stories to reveal themselves, and to which allows me to also meet some of these people where they are. But the reality is that most of the time I spend in a place like Uvalde, I'm not photographing. I'm having conversations. I'm listening. I'm sharing meals with people. We're laughing. We're crying. Um, I'm getting to know them as much as they're getting to know me, and that ultimately is in the service um, of the storytelling and of the journalism, because it allows for people to trust me more, to be vulnerable, and to allow me then to bear witness to what it is that they're experiencing as a result of a tragedy like the scale of what happened in Uvalde.
Now, despite the tragedy, your work also showcases moments of resilience, like Caitlin, a very young girl dancing to Taylor Swift songs with her friend at a graveyard. Can you just explain how you also balance pain with, you know, themes of hope or, showing people being very resilient?
People impacted by tragedies like this um, are not avatars or symbols of their grief and suffering the way that they are often depicted in the immediate aftermaths of tragedies like this. And um, one thing that the dimension of time offers us, and being able to build long form work on subjects like this, is a chance to see some of the nuances and the subtleties reveal themselves. Um, a place like Uvalde is an incredibly dynamic and complex place, and the journey through grief is not one that is just full of darkness. There is actually an immense amount of light, and I think that if you look close enough, you can see what people are really made of, and how humans have the extraordinary capacity to endure in the wake of tragedies like this. And photojournalism, I think, is uniquely qualified and uniquely capable of showing that and reflecting that. So something I've really tried to do in Uvalde is show um, that we can't we have to have the darkness in order to appreciate the light, and ultimately it's the combination of those two elements that can make this work, and documentation around it so impactful. And I think that an image like Caitlin dancing on Jackie Casades's grave represents that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, Cynthia, can you just tell us a little bit more about the exhibition in general? Where can people go, and when are the dates where people can actually interact with this?
Yeah, so the exhibition is opening this week on February 7th, and it will be up until March 8th. And we'll be in our 614 gallery space. We have two spaces, but this one's on Cortland and 151st Street.
Now, I have a question for the both of you. Um, what do you hope people take away from these photos and the stories they tell?
I can answer that, or at least I'll start. I really want people to walk away from an exhibit like this, not feeling despair, but feeling hope. Um, and because hope is the most powerful tool that we hold to shape our future. And when you see what these families have gone through, and yet they could still continue to move forward with extraordinary grace and determination, I think that that's something that can inspire all of us, and understand that this isn't just a look away issue, because it's so heavy. And by sharing work that is caring and compassionate, and I hope allows for the public to see themselves in these families, and to inspire their own empathy, to imagine themselves in a place like this, that can move them to be more interested in this subject, and to think about what it is that we can do in order to make this country and our classrooms safer.
And Cynthia, can you just explain what you hope people take away from interacting with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think very similarly to Tamir, it is about hope. And I think not just about school shootings, but gun violence issues in general. I hope that this exhibition serves as a reminder for all of the headlines and numbers that we do see, that there are actual lives that have been stopped short long before they had to be, and that there are steps that can be taken now to be proactive and not just reactive for when there's another issue of gun violence that happens.
Well, I want to say, just interacting with the both of you, I think this is very important because when we talk about social justice and raising awareness, art and photography can absolutely be used to kind of help people learn a little bit more about that. So I want to thank you both so much for letting us know. Can you quickly let people know where they can go to learn a little bit more about the Bronx Documentary Center and the other issues that you focus on?
Yes, actually, right now our website is under construction, but you can still visit us at bronxdoc.org, and you'll be able to see, and also on our Instagram handle, it's Bronx Documentary Center. You'll be able to see all of our upcoming events and the events that are in conjunction with this actual exhibition.
All right. I want to thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
To learn more, please follow the BDC on Instagram at Bronx Documentary Center. Stay tuned, we have more for you right after this.
What's up, creative family? Discover your voice with BronxNet community media classes. Are you ready to bring your ideas to life? At BronxNet, we offer television production classes for community members ages 18 and over, empowering you to share your vision with the world. Get certified in field production, in-studio production, and our new exciting addition, podcast production. Once certified, you can create your own show to air on one of our 6 TV channels. It all starts with our free Unleash Your Ideas Masterclass, designed to help you plan your show idea and set you up for success on your production journey. This class is offered at the beginning of each month for your convenience. Our dedicated BronxNet team is here to support, encourage, and uplift you every step of the way. Join us and become a part of the creative force that engages and inspires the Bronx community and beyond. Sign up today and start your media journey with BronxNet. Visit bronxnet.org/education to learn more and register. Let's create something amazing together.
Welcome back. Founded in 2017 in the Bronx, Shoot Hoops Not Guns Classic is more than just a basketball league, it's a movement. Their goal is to empower individuals by addressing the issues of gun violence within our community. They use basketball as a tool to build connections, foster personal growth, and promote a culture of safety and positivity. We are now joined by the founder of Shoot Hoops Not Guns Classic, Trent Major. Trent, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem.
Now, can you share the inspiration behind the founding of Shoot Hoops Not Guns Classic, especially when it was founded in 2017?
Well, the goal was at first just to have a neighborhood basketball game, to bring everybody together, get some laughs, run up and down. As it developed, you noticed we had a crowd. Well, I noticed we had a crowd, and that moment I realized I could really make a change in my community by saving some lives and giving everybody another chance besides being in the streets making the wrong decision.
Now, why did you choose basketball as a central tool for addressing gun violence in your community?
Well, one thing that brings everybody together is sports. I figure we have a basketball court, I have a platform, why not use this to bring everybody together?
Now, I love the title Shoot Hoops Not Guns, but can you explain what that means to you and your organization?
It means to me you have another option out there besides being out there making the wrong decision. So the title Shoot Hoops Not Guns is what it is. Shoot hoops, not guns. This basketball court, run up and down, shoot the basketball. Besides being out there making the wrong decision, shooting something you're not supposed to be doing.
Now, how has the organization made a difference in the Bronx since its beginnings?
Well, right now I would say every summer since 2017, I could say youth-wise, we done saved about 200 to 250 lives by getting kids in the park for the 5 to 6 hours running up and down. So the goal is to grow from 250 to 450 and everything. But right now, in the 7 years that we have, I can say the feedback and the growth of the lives we have been saving is emerging.
That's amazing. And do you have any particular stories or, just people that have stood out to you since you started the program?
Particularly the youth, like the parents. I grew up with some of the parents, so they had kids. So to see them bring their kids there and to continue what we started is it's overwhelming to me because now our lives are saved and now we're trying to save the next generation's lives. So it sticks out to me when I see parents saying, I want my kid to participate in the video because I know you have them under control when you'll put them in the right path.
That's amazing, and I love that it's kind of showing that it's continuing that sense of community, because I know that a lot of people, once they kind of grow up, they move away and they kind of go into their own little separate spaces, but to show that it's kind of helped build community is amazing. With that, what kind of feedback have you received from the participants or their families in the community?
Just to walk in that park and see those smiles on those kids' faces, knowing today is the day we're going to be playing basketball and everything, really brings a smile to my face. So we get extraordinary feedback the point where the kids and the parents and everybody is there before you even set up. So I just get excited thinking about it because the goal is really to get those kids in that park and save their lives for them hours, for them to spread the word to their friends, for the parents to spread the words to other parents that's not even in the community to bring their kids over. Hey, listen, your kid will be safe here from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and everything. And you know, with those hours there, knowing that they're in the park playing basketball knows that those 5-6 hours they're not in the streets making the wrong decisions.
Now, what values or lessons do you hope, the children, the people in the program kind of gain from being a part of it?
Well, for one, if you're not a kid that like basketball and you're with us for those 5-6 hours and throughout the summer and everything, hey, who knows? You might develop a love for the game. Now you might want to pursue high school basketball. You might want to pursue to go to college. You might want to get a job in the basketball field. So we're giving you more options than just playing basketball. You could develop a love for the game and want to pursue and do something else besides just playing the game.
I think that's amazing because one, it's introducing, people to something, as you mentioned, that they don't know they would have liked. But, how could it also impact them, in school, whether that's like learning how to make friends or the importance of collaboration? Can you explain maybe some skills that they've gained from being in the program?
Well, with the game of basketball and sports in general, it's a team thing. So when you're on that court developing chemistry and making new friends and everything, you could do the same thing in school in the classroom. Teamwork, being a leader, learning, wanting to learn, being a follower, listening. So everything on the court can help you in life and in school.
Now, through this, I'm curious to know, were there any challenges that you faced in addressing gun violence? And also, I want to talk about how gun violence is a very serious issue in our communities. And, we talked about it previously in the segment before, but it also affects a lot of children. And it's something that even if they don't fully understand, they may know that it's going on. So how do you address that? And maybe what are some challenges that go with that?
Well, the challenge it is, for me, is getting the kids and the parents involved at first. Sometimes they're like, I don't want my kids over there, or I don't like that side of the neighborhood and everything. But the goal is to encourage them and give them that confidence. Like, listen, let's work together. Let's get your kid here. Let's make sure they have a safe environment. Let's give them something to do. Because I know you don't want your kid wandering off in these streets making the wrong decisions. And as far as, challenges and everything else, it's like once you get one foot in the door, everything is just on the road. So I don't know how much more I could say about challenges. Just getting everybody involved, the parents and the kids. Once you get them involved, everything else smooth sailing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then I'm curious to know, what is it like in the summer? I know that we have like spring and people, honestly, even now that it's winter, I still see people outside playing basketball, but I'm curious to know, what is this experience like in the height of summer where all the kids are off and people have a little bit more free time?
Summer might be one of the hardest things to get kids to in the parks with basketball because there's a lot of parks and everything else going on. And I feel like the violence level is a little higher in the summer. So my goal is to start January, February. Listen, I need you to be involved with me in the summer. I need you to bring your kids over in the summer. I have a platform. I want them to come perform. Just to get them there, because I really don't like hearing a lot of violence and everything, because I know it goes down a lot in the summer. So I have a platform. I want to get it out there.
And I also want to touch on the fact that it's something for boys and girls, which I think is very cool, because a lot of the times when we hear about basketball, it's usually just for boys or just for people who are really, really good at it and want to be basketball players when they grow up. Can you talk about the importance of having it be open to anybody that's willing to join?
Yes. Well, I like boys. I like watching the boys play and everything, but it's just something about watching the girls play that makes you like, no, these girls play just as hard as the boys. You can't forget, you can't overlook the girls, because, there's a lot of talent out there with the women, man. And even with the women, it might not be gun violence, but I don't want the women out there, fighting in the summer and doing or, making the wrong decisions as well. Y'all could come on over too. This is not a biased league where we just deal with men or boys and everything. We welcome women, girls, everything as well.
Now, are there any volunteer opportunities or something for people who are watching and they realize, yes, gun violence is an issue in our community and they want to do something about it?
We take all participate, any volunteers and everything. We're still, even though this is about to be our 8th summer, we're still fresh, we're still new. So we welcome anybody that want to volunteer, anybody that want to help out, because you know, it may sound easy, but this thing is a job and it's something I took on, and I welcome all the help because the more help I get, the more kids we get involved. The more kids we get involved, the more lives we can save.
And, you know, as you mentioned, it's not easy to have it, you know, be around from 2017 and to still go is, you know, a tremendous accomplishment that I feel definitely you should be proud of. With that, you know, looking to the future, the next 5, 10, 15 years, what do you hope to see for the program and how do you hope it expands?
I want to have a Shoes Not Guns in different states, possibility. I want to have the platform anywhere, because you know, gun violence is not just in New York, it's not just in the Bronx, it's everywhere. So we could get Shoes Not Guns expanded to different states. Instead of having these 250 to 300 kids saved, we could have 2,000, 3,500 kids saved.
Now, I'm curious to know, for your own personal experience, how has basketball or just being a part of sports impacted your upbringing?
Well, basketball saved me, because growing up, as you know, Shoes Not Guns is where I grew up. So playing a game of basketball and watching the older people play basketball inspired me, like, okay, this saved me, kept me out of trouble. I want to pass that on to the next generation because I want to see these kids strive and be better.
And with that, you know, do you feel like this is something that's multi-generational, as in it could help connect not just kids with each other, but, you know, kids could maybe understand the older folks in their community and what they went through, and maybe the older folks could understand what kids are going through today. Do you see that or hope that's something that can come from this?
Yes, it all starts with us adults. The kids look up to us. So if we're showing them the right path and we're guiding them, they'll listen. They'll show, when they grow up, they're 18 or whatever, and they have kids, they'll show the same thing. So it's all like a formula, like, you know, be your best around these kids so they can be the best when they grow up around their kids.
That's amazing. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us and sharing a little bit about the community that you've built to keep, you know, children in our community safe. So thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
To learn more about their programs, please visit their website on your screen below. We have to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Open after this.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. .5% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. .34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
Welcome back. BronxWorks helps individuals and families improve their economic and social well-being. From toddlers to seniors, they feed, shelter, teach, and support our neighbors to build a stronger Bronx community. Here to tell us about some of the ways they help is the Associate Vice President Marie Edwards, along with Deshana Hamid, the Program Director of BronxWorks. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Now,
you.
for those who are a little bit unaware, can you tell me a little bit more about BronxWorks and your overall mission?
Sure.
So BronxWorks is a multi-service organization that has been around since 1972, originally as Citizens Advice Bureau. And over time, as we recognized the need to evolve with the Bronx community, we've missioned our name to become BronxWorks. And within that, we try to serve all residents throughout the Bronx and be able to address all the challenges that they face on a daily basis, which gives reason to our programs and the number of services that we offer as a multi-service organization.
And I want to say that I have definitely seen the work that you've done throughout the Bronx. And for anyone watching, even if you don't know, you probably have seen BronxWorks, out there, on the streets helping our communities. So I want to say thank you for that, once, because I've seen it myself. Now, I want to talk about one of your programs, and that is the healthcare training program. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and its goals?
Sure thing. So, as you may know, healthcare is one of the fastest growing industries in New York City. So with that in mind, we are launching a healthcare training program that allows members to earn their credentials as a clinical medical assistant, along with EKG and phlebotomy technician certifications. And so it's a really excellent way for folks to enter the field of healthcare, which can lead to very lucrative careers.
And I want to kind of expand on, the training and certifications, and how that can tremendously change, someone's life and, their career path. Can you just explain, what impact that could have on somebody long term?
Certainly. So, as you may know, trainings can be very expensive. They can be out of reach, very hard to access. And so when you have a foundation of technical skills as well as theory, and especially in, like I said, a fast-growing industry such as this, then you really have a jumping-off point for creating a long-term career path and continuing, continuing to gain skills in the field.
Now, who is eligible to apply for the program, and how can they get involved?
So folks that are aged 18 to 24, so our young adult population, who have obtained their high school diplomas or equivalent, and who are not working and are looking for a meaningful and impactful way to join the healthcare field.
Now, I understand on February 7th, you have an upcoming event at the Workforce Development Office. Can you tell me a little bit more about that event?
Yes, absolutely. So we are currently recruiting folks to come in and join the program. And so we'll have the technical instructors there, as well as our career development team who helps with job readiness skills so that folks can succeed in the workplace. And they can ask questions, see if this is a right fit. It is an intense program, so we're hoping to give people the opportunity to learn more about it.
Now, I want to switch gears and talk about something that is stressful for so many of us. I know, even after doing it a few times, it's still hard for me, but that is tax season. Can you talk a little bit more about the services that you provide to help the Bronx, kind of deal with the stress and just understand what's going on during tax season?
Oh, well, BronxWorks is very versed at providing tax services. So the New York City Free Tax Prep program is a program that we have operated since 2007. And with that, it has enabled us over the years to be able to expand our reach throughout the community. So it's for all New Yorkers, anyone in terms of an individual who has earned at least $65,000 and below in 2024 are eligible to file with us, as well as individuals or families that are claiming a dependent or a spouse as well. That's $93,000 in income combined in 2024 and below. So with that said, we have around 6 tax locations where it's either at a BronxWorks location or we're working in partnership with Montefiore Medical Center as well as the Health and Hospital Corporation Tremont location. So we are in 2 of the campus locations for Montefiore and BronxWorks, our main hub office at 550 East 142nd Street, and our main location at 80 East 181st Street, which is the Morris Center. And then we also have one at Twin Parks West. However, we also offer virtual services for anyone that's unable to come in 3 days out of the week.
Now, how can residents schedule an appointment?
So they're welcome to go to the BronxWorks website and be able to look and see the flyer there and be able to register through a QR code or call our office. I believe it's the 718-993-8880 extension 261 number, or just call us and we'll be happy to assist. They can also email us as well and be able to get assistance with scheduling a tax appointment.
Now, I want to talk about the Summer Youth Employment Program. That is a staple in New York City that I think most young people in the city have experience with. Can you tell me a little bit more about the importance of, just assisting young people in the Bronx, especially with a program like this?
Yeah, so with our Summer Youth Employment Program, and we have a very large Summer Youth Employment Program, a program that BronxWorks has actually operated for at least 14 years. And with that said, the importance of this is that it allows for 14 to 24-year-olds to be able to access the opportunity to develop skills, to be able to explore career paths, and as well as gain paid work experience during the summer months of July and August annually every year. So also it addresses the fact that for the young people in terms of unemployment, it addresses the unemployment factor for many of them, and that enables them to have a form of income, even if it's just for the summer months. But it also has been impactful for many young people in terms of building a career pathway, because many of those who have gone through summer youth have also recognized, wow, this is a possible career opportunity, and they've gone on to start in that career track, whether through college or other alternative routes that are available to them, and that's enabled them to build a career and build a life for themselves and their families.
And I'd love to hear from you, just, what are your thoughts on the program? Is something that, has been in New York City for so long and it affects so many young people. So can you just tell me your thoughts on the program as well?
Sure. So I've actually had family members that have used SYEP and have come back with such wonderful stories about how they've learned actual real skill in offices or different locations, different type of workplaces. And I think that's important because especially as we are on social media so much and we're on our phones and computers, we're not interacting with folks, we're not learning those skills. And so I think it's a really valuable experience for young people.
Definitely. And I think it helps teach a lot of people, just the value of responsibility, having to wake up and, go somewhere that's not school and not being with your friends all day. I know it definitely impacted me. So I can definitely attest to how important it is. Can you explain what kind of support and mentorship BronxWorks provides to SYEP participants?
So for the young people, many times, BronxWorks is a very big supporter. Many of the young people are placed into the many locations. BronxWorks has over 60 plus locations throughout Bronx County, so that's a big plus right there. We work with a lot of work sites. We're still looking for work sites, so both on the community-based organization side like BronxWorks, as well as the local government, city government, as well as local businesses. So we provide that support by ensuring that what they are assigned to do, they're actually doing. This is not a job in which you come in and you sit down. It's a job in which you're actually going to take part and be inclusive in the work environment that we secure you in, be it at BronxWorks or be it at a worksite partner. So that's an important factor for us. And also with the staff, they do pay visit to the work sites to ensure that the actual young people are taking part in those activities and ensuring that they are having a very positive and impactful experience.
And, I want to talk about how this, of course, it impacts, the children or the young people that are involved, but the impact that it could also have on their families. And knowing BronxWorks does a lot of work that's just for families overall, what do you hope that anybody who interacts, with the organization through this program, what do you hope they leave with?
I would hope that they leave with that their lives have been lifted. It speaks volumes to the organization's mission, to feed, shelter, teach, and support. It actually is something in which, even within our own leadership, everyone comes from diverse backgrounds, experiences, have different perspectives, but also the opportunity to pass along that torch and be able to, teach young people what we've been taught and be able to have that opportunity to move it and pass it forward. And I think that's an important factor. I mean, we've seen young people come in with their parents and say, I was scared to do summer youth, this program, but then bring their parents in. Their parents are like, oh my God, thank you for giving my son or my daughter a beautiful, impactful opportunity. It was very positive and they feel so great about it. And that's important to us at the end of the day.
And I love that you mentioned how some people said it could be intimidating, because I remember my first day working and you do feel kind of intimidating. So it's so nice to see that there's an organization that kind of nurtures and provides a safe space for young people to kind of learn what they need to be, professional and kind of go on in their careers. Now, I'm curious to know what motivates BronxWorks to continue to do this type of work for the community.
Well, as Marie mentioned, we're a fixture in the Bronx. But I think what I often say is we are who we serve, right? So we are the community. A lot of folks that work at BronxWorks may have started out as members, as SYEP, and have had their own families join, and that motivates us to see our communities get better, to be lifted, right? And when we hear back from members and some of the successes that we hear, and those can be very small to very big, it keeps us going. It puts the battery in our pack, so to speak.
Now, did you want to expand on that?
No, I agree with Deshana. I mean, many times, just those small experiences, big or small, I should say, have been impactful with many, and they go on to have really great careers or build greater lives. Even if it's not in New York. I mean, I know I recently received a email from a young lady maybe from 2 years ago, and I did not know how impactful I was on her life. And she came through our SYEP and then she moved on to other things, but you just have no idea how impactful you can be on someone's life in a short span of time.
Yes, definitely. I want to say, for one, I know that meant a lot, and I know for a lot of young people, that first work experience, they remember their first boss and how nice they were to them and all that. So I think, one, I want to thank you both so much for joining us and kind of sharing what you've done to help make not just young people, but everyone in the Bronx feel welcomed and feel like they have a space to go if they are looking for that help. Can you quickly just let everybody know where they can go to learn more information about the organization?
Well, to learn more about the invaluable work that we do at BronxWorks, lifting lives, building futures, please go to bronxworks.org. You can donate. You can go to all our social media handles, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Okay.
So,
And Blue Sky, the new
Right.
Blue Sky guy in town.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
To learn more about all the programs they offer, please visit their website at bronxworks.org. We've come to the end of our show today. Before we go, I wanted to let you all know that today is my last show with BronxNet. It has been an incredible journey, and I want to thank you all so much for being here with me. With that being said, I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining me and giving me a chance to help spread their messages to our viewers. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recable cast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum Channel 67 and Verizon Fios Channel 33, or watch anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. You can catch a brand new episode of Open with Darren Hemick on Wednesday and with Rena Valentine on Friday. I'm Kibin Alleyne, wishing you and yours safety and wellness now and always.